we've got Paul Matthews here from the 3V's On podcast.
This is a patrons only video. So if you're seeing this video, that means you are a patron of the 3V's On podcast, and you get access to our lives in intimate and detailed ways, such as now when my wife and I are driving to have dinner at a restaurant called Elbie's. We thought we'd give you a little bit of a look into our life.
So I'm going to ask Paul a few questions. So Paul, what would you like to say to the patrons?
Well, Elbie, that's a damn good question. That's a bloody good question. Actually, we can't use words like that. I think someone's going to be angry at me for saying that. It's a very good question. I guess it makes everything kind of possible. Running a creative endeavour at a loss is always a pain in the backside. You don't want to have to be one of those starving artists, right? And $150 a week, which is not what it is. I think it's a year. $150 a year to host a podcast and other stuff. It adds up, but so does the however many dollars we get per week from our patrons. So it's fantastic. They make it all not possible. It is possible without them. They make it bearable. Bearable.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, you said that you wanted to give the patrons a little insight into our life.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell them what you got up to today?
Well, today was an interesting day, Elbie, because I had the day off from window cleaner by trade, and as the patrons probably know if they're listening to the podcast, you and I have bought a house and are planning on moving, but we're not moving for a little while. So I had to wait at a friend's house while a guy delivered a massive table there, and then we tried to move it into his house, couldn't, nearly put a couple of puncture wounds in his plaster walls, and ended up having to go to shiploads, buy a couple of tarpaulin, chuck it under there, out in the elements. So please, if you're religious, pray it doesn't rain for the next few weeks, because we want our table to be in good nick, not some sodden bit of submerged timber by the time we finally get into our house. It was a big day, Elbie, big day. And then I came home, and of course, Elbie, my wife, was a little crook. She's had her wisdom teeth out, and so she was off from work a little early, so we chilled out. We chilled out. It was good. It was good. And then did a little more chilling, and now we're off to dinner. Which is something we would. What do you say, Elbie? We'd do that probably every couple of days. We go out for dinner.
Once a year.
I'd say at least every week.
I'd say it's probably our first proper date. Actually.
That's true. How long have we been together again?
Bit over a year.
Bit over a year, yeah. But I did ask you to marry me, so that gets me something.
You did, but this is still our first proper date.
And we're not even paying for it.
No, we're not.
It's a voucher that we're using, friends. There's no way we'd be going out if it weren't for this. The say what you like about podcasts. There's not great money in them, apparently. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Get a little date.
Very good. Anything else you'd like to add?
I would like to ask you a question, actually.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is that Western culture...
Alright, so that's all the time that we have today. So, yep, thank you.
Well, friends, patrons, here we are. You've just seen the video. Elbie and I heading out into our date. So naive as to what was going to go down that night. Now, I'm here to give a little bit of a review, all right? So, I don't go on many dates with my wife, and I know she's not a patron of the podcast, so I'm going to give the whole night a little bit of a critique. So, you saw us heading off into the sunset. The vibes were good. The old adage, treat them mean to keep them keen. Don't ever try that. That is a load of rubbish. That will just never work for you. But I guess there are certain things in a relationship that if you do just drip feed, they work better for you. Some people go on dates every weekend, right? And they're just commonplace. Maybe that's the way you want to play your cards. Me, not so much. Elbie was right. In the video you just saw, we have gone for like one date ever, and we're married. You know, I didn't even go on a date rather, before I asked her to marry me. So you drip feed these bad boys and they go down well. So I guess there's a number of metrics in which we can rate the overall experience. First of all, we had the place itself. St Elbie's, it's down in Hobart, in Newtown. Great little venue. Now I think my tastes are fairly common. It's like a big open warehouse. Now that's good. I don't care who you are. The open warehouse is nice. Wasn't too echoey. But you felt like you were in a fairly open space. You didn't feel like you're getting crammed in like a pack of sardines while you're trying to eat your steak. So as far as the venue goes, I'm talking probably about an 8 out of 10. They did have cloth napkins though. I don't know what the heck that's about. Cloth napkins. First of all, they were very multicolored. I don't know how well I deal with the multicolored cloth napkins because you wipe a little bit of tartare sauce off your face, and it's like camouflage. This thing you cannot see where, so you're just smearing back on yourself over and over. That is no one's idea of a good time. Maybe that brings us down to a little bit of a sort of a 7 out of 10. Still pretty good. Now the food. I was discussing with my wife how pricing for food takes on, it just moves into this whole new realm when you're talking about going out for dinner. So Elbie and I got burgers the other week. And there was this burger, it was $12. And I was there scratching my head. I was going, geez, $12 for a burger? I don't know about that. I don't know. Can I justify $12 for a burger? Now, let me tell you, patrons of the Three Views On podcast, I had a burger last night. $28. I thought that was cheap. I don't know what kind of weird mental psychology is going on in my head. I thought it was cheap. It was a great burger, though. Wagyu beef, don't know what that means. Apparently it's good. Elbie told me it was good. Waitress told me it was good. Wagyu beef. Just had the cheeseburger and some chips. Elbie got a steak. Interesting. No sides. Did get a side of beans. But I don't know if I hadn't married her. I mean, who gets a side of beans? If she'd done this before we'd actually entered into the covenant of marriage, maybe there would have been a little pause for thought there. Who knows? Beans. Yeah, not so sure. The food was pretty good. We'll give that another 7 out of 10. Now to a really important part of the evening. For me, for someone who needs to talk, this is about the most important part. We're talking the conversation here. Now, you will know from the podcast that if there is a silence, I have to fill it with my voice. Now, the downside to that is, while I can talk a lot, I'm not that interesting. So it's a cost benefit, you know. I need someone else to be contributing to the conversation for me to keep myself interesting, because if I just have to put a lot of words out there, it's just volume, and I'm sacrificing quality all over the place. So let me tell you, the conversation really makes or breaks a date for Paul Matthews. My friends, it was good. The conversation was blessed. It was blessed. And I'll tell you what makes it even better, right? So, you're just sitting around the house. It's okay. You don't talk that much. You go out on a date. You know this is a special time. You know it's a special time. You're conversing. You're talking about things you don't normally talk about. There's a level of interest. You're both looking nice. It's a fantastic time. The conversation was flowing. And what's more, my friends, I could see around the place. And Elbie and I we love to look at this. Awkward dates. My fridge has just turned on. Awkward dates. All around the place. You got old mate over here who's doing these ones. He's just sort of occasionally looking at his date. Yeah. He's trying to pick some steak out of his... It was so awkward that it just made whatever I had going with Elbie seem so much better. It was a blessed evening. I give the conversation a 9 out of 10. Now, the dessert. Now, this doesn't quite fall on St Elbie's because maybe this is revealing too much about myself. We went there because we had a gift voucher. We were very generously gifted. $100. We spent it. It was fantastic. But dessert was on me. I went to McDonald's. I don't know if I really impressed the wife with that one. I really don't. When I'm spending other people's money, fine. When I'm spending my money, McDonald's. Not sure if that was the wisest play, but we got a McFlurry. We shared it. We didn't eat so much that we felt gross. It was fantastic. So the dessert was at least a 7 out of 10. Now, the last but not least in the category, because obviously it needs to be out of 50. The last category was probably post-date activity. What did I do? My wife Elbie introduced me to a show called The Blacklist. Now, this show is not for everyone. Don't go and cry to your parents after you've seen a couple of gruesome things happen, saying Paul from the 3 Views on podcast recommended I watch The Blacklist. Don't do that. Unwise. So there's a bit of, I think it's like a PG kind of thing. Potentially more. Fantastic. I'm hooked. I've become so jaded and so cynical for so long because I just get so sick of watching shows that suck. The Blacklist does not suck. Let me tell you. It's got a bit of an anti-hero at the center of it. I love myself a good anti-hero because I'm an anti-hero. No, it's not true. I am no hero. Fantastic. The Blacklist. So that's a 10 out of 10. So I have forgotten all the categories. I think one of them was the venue itself, which was like a 7. There was a food, which was an 8. That brings us to 15 out of 20. The conversation was a 10. That brings us to 25 out of 30. The dessert was an 8, which brings us to 33 out of 40. And the post-dinner, I'm at the end of my tether here. The post-dinner activity was 10, which brings us to 43 out of 50. That's a good little date night. My friend. Now, patrons, I would love to hear if you yourself have had a good date night or not. Because that's the sort of thing that I really love to chew over. What makes it? You might have another criteria that actually you would love to add into the mix here. We've all got our own sort of 5, 6 criteria that we consciously or not use to evaluate the success of our dates. A 43 out of 50 ain't bad. Let me tell you, it ain't bad. But I'd love to hear what you do. Anyway, until next week, I hope you have a fantastic week, and thanks again for supporting the 3 Views On podcast, my friends.